Mr. President, we are now over a month into a shutdown caused by the refusal of Senate Democrats to vote for a short-term stopgap spending bill that expires November the 21st. So much time has passed that we're now only 3 weeks out from that new deadline, even if they were to vote to pass this short-term funding bill that's passed the House of Representatives. This cannot be explained by logic or reason. This can only be explained by politics and by the Democratic leader's desire to keep his job and to survive in the next election. Because he's afraid of his own political party and that they will throw him overboard if he were to agree to a short-term stopgap spending bill, which we did 13 times when President Biden was in office. But we're also hearing that they want us to negotiate the expiring Biden COVID-era subsidies for the Obamacare exchanges. And since they want to talk about that, I would just reiterate what President Trump has said, what Speaker Johnson said, what the Majority Leader of the Senate has said. We're happy to talk about anything and everything you want to talk about once you reopen the government. But since Democrats brought it up, and since they still insist on keeping the government shut down, endangering people flying, causing enormous inconvenience at the International Bush Airport in Houston, there's a 3-hour wait for people to get simply through the security line at TSA. We know 42 million people have been denied access to supplemental nutrition, some of the most vulnerable people in our country. And we know federal government employees are not being paid, even though they are obviously working. I have not heard a single Senate Democrat saying, well, I'm going to withhold my pay during this shutdown, as those of us on this side of the aisle have done, including yours truly. So presumably they'd continue to get paid while everybody else is not being paid, and why enormous numbers of the most vulnerable of our population who depend on supplemental nutrition for food on the table are being denied that relief, all because they are afraid to deal with the politics associated with simply passing a short-term stopgap spending bill. But they also say they want this conversation to be about health insurance. And since they want to talk about Obamacare, I figured I would oblige them. Now, we know health insurance rates have certainly continued to go up. The Wall Street Journal recently reported that the cost of a family health insurance plan in 2025 is nearly $27,000. If you're on one of the 16 million people on the Affordable Care Act exchanges, your premium is scheduled to go up 18% next year, 18%. At the same time, if you're on an employer-provided insurance plan, premiums will go up roughly 6 or 7%. 6 or 7% versus 18%. Well, there must be a good reason for that astronomical figure for the Obamacare plans, and I plan on mentioning a few reasons why that is so. Well, employers are paying for much of the health insurance premiums for their employees, but the increased cost eats away at the budget they have to pay wages and other benefits. So employee salaries will become stagnant as employers have to pay more each year for health insurance. And for small businesses, the margin is even greater. Or I say the margin should be smaller. The increased cost of health care for their employees might mean they can't offer generous raises, or might mean they can't afford to hire as many people as they previously did. So clearly the rising costs of health care and health insurance is a problem for individuals and employers. But the fair question is, how did we get here? Well, the first place we have to look is Obamacare, popularly known as the Affordable Care Act. The fact of the matter is, it is the Unaffordable Care Act. When President Obama signed this highly controversial signature health care plan into policy, he promised that it would make health insurance affordable for the American people. In 2016, in a speech to students in Florida, President Obama said, "The Affordable Care Act has done what it was designed to do. It gave us affordable health care." Now, 15 years later, this claim has aged like spoiled milk. Since 2013, the year before Obamacare took effect, the average Obamacare enrollee faced a premium increase of 221%. That's since 2013 until today, 221% increase in the premium. This mind-boggling number is only for those who receive health coverage through the Affordable Care Act, which is, of course, as I indicate, a misnomer for the ages. Those who receive their coverage through their employer-sponsored plan were not affected by these premium hikes. As I mentioned, the Wall Street Journal said their premiums will go up roughly 6 to 7%. From 2013 to 2019, individuals buying health insurance on the private market faced 143% increases in their health care premiums. And this number does not account for all the Americans who kept their plans but faced increased premiums or less comprehensive coverage. President Obama knew, but he refused to say, that for many people, even though this new health care law claimed to make health care affordable, it did just the opposite. So what did he do? He tried to shift the blame. The claim that the Unaffordable Care Act would make health care affordable was far from President Obama's only broken promise. In a quip that was later described by a political fact-checking site as the lie of the year for 2013, President Obama said that, quote, "If you like your health care plan, you can keep it." 2013, a political fact-checking site called that the lie of the year. But we know how the story has ended. By the fall of 2013, 4 million Americans received letters informing them that their then existing health care plan would be canceled. In the same 2016 speech, he said, "Now some people may say, well, I've seen my co-pays go up or my networks have changed, but these are decisions that are made by your employers. It's not because of Obamacare. They're not determined by the Affordable Care Act." Now that was a complete and utter abdication of responsibility for the disruption that Obamacare caused. And while it may be true that they were not directly determined by the Affordable Care Act, it is because of the Affordable Care Act that people lost their coverage, and thus they could not keep the coverage they had if they wanted it. Obamacare did not make health care affordable. It created a tangled web of regulations alongside of taxpayer-funded subsidies that ultimately only led to higher costs for taxpayers and those receiving care. The only party that stood to gain the benefit from the Obamacare chaos was the health insurance companies themselves. they've enjoyed a windfall as a result of Obamacare. By now, insurance companies have figured out how to use this muddled mess, that is the Democrats' health care system, to lobby for government subsidies, including the continuation of the expiring COVID-19 era subsidies that the Biden administration imposed. They knew that Democrats would not want to be responsible for the increased premiums and lower coverage, so they threatened premium increases while lobbying Congress to give these insurance companies even more money in the form of enhanced subsidies. In 2025 alone, U.S. government health care subsidies paid directly to insurance companies totaled more than $130 billion. That's your tax dollars paid to insurance companies, $130 billion in 2025 alone. In some cases, these subsidies pay for phantom enrollees who are likely not even to know that they are covered by one of these policies. In 2024, there were approximately 12 million Affordable Care Act marketplace enrollees who made zero medical claims, a highly unusual circumstance. 12 million, no claims. Roughly 40% of those fully subsidized by the Biden-era COVID credits made zero claims, meaning that these insurance companies received these very generous subsidies but incurred zero costs. Since 2021, the cost taxpayers have incurred to subsidize Obamacare plans has increased a staggering 150%. And many of the ones on these policies are far from the most vulnerable in our population. In 2021, when the Democrats lifted the cap on these subsidies, removing the income eligibility limit, households earning upwards of $500,000 were made eligible for taxpayer-subsidized plans. So you tell me why taxpayers should have to subsidize somebody who makes $500,000 a year and buy their health insurance policy for them. These increasingly expanded subsidies for high earners proves a point that was perhaps the only promise that Obamacare actually kept, that the Affordable Care Act was just the first step toward a taxpayer-funded health care system, a single-payer system. Back in 2016, President Obama compared his signature law to a starter home that would later be upgraded into one that would be much bigger. But based on the way the law actually worked, it's clear that expanding it is not going to make people better off, just the contrary. So here we are in 2026, and what happened? Are we living in a utopia where health care is free or suddenly affordable? Well, just the opposite. Health care is now more expensive than ever, with analysts warning that increased costs will continue to eat away at workers' paychecks. Millions of Americans have faced cancellations of their private insurance plans, while many more are facing devastating premium increases. And then there are the insurance companies who've reaped hundreds of billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies while continuing to raise premiums on patients. I think it's safe to say, Madam President, that Obamacare was a golden promise that turned out to be almost entirely false. So when we look for a solution to rising health care costs, we should be wary of listening to the same people who sold us Obamacare on false premises, and not trust those who would prefer we continue to prop up a failed system that enriches insurance companies while leaving Americans to pick up the pieces. Madam President, I yield the floor, and I would note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Osterbrooks.